This is my 1989 CBR1000F that I paid just £1,000 for. It's a non-runner and it needs a little bit of work to get it back on the road. At the minute it's completely dead because what I suspect is a faulty alarm. In the previous video I put a jump box on it and it still showed no signs of life. I'm hoping the reason the jump box idea didn't work is because the battery was so flat that it refused to send 12 volts to it, because it's like one of those smart charger battery things. If it doesn't think there's a battery connected, then it's not gonna supply 12 volts. So I'm hoping that that's why it didn't work. So let's get the new battery on and see what happens. In an interesting turn of events, I've now fitted the new battery and I have ignition. I've also got indicators, lights, and a horn. A very good horn at that. But when I press the start button, nothing happens. So with the clutch pulled in as well, I still get nothing. Now, because it's got this alarm, it's got a button on it on the fob and it doesn't seem to do anything. So if I turn the ignition on, press the button, nothing happens. Probably because the battery in this is completely flat. So let's pop this open and get a new battery for it. Okay, let's crack this open and see what batteries it takes. Open it with my fingers. Hopefully it'll be quite easy to get out. There we go. Oh, it's a tiny little, oh, there's two of them. Tiny little flat things. Right, let's pop down to Halfords and see if they've got any on the shelf. What is it? A CR1000F. So we always find Halfords have a real nice selection of BHREs, and they've got the one I want, 1220. Well, they're actually already in my hand because I already bought them. Forgot to film this bit. I found an intruder. Hey, get out of my bike. So that didn't make any difference whatsoever, but I don't actually know if the fob is working at all, and I've not really got any way of testing it. You can get RF receivers, but I don't have one. So what I'm going to do is take all the fairings off and the seat and the tank. Then we'll have access to all the wires and fuses and cables and alarm systems and everything we need to be able to diagnose this problem. So let's crack on. This does have a tank protector on it, and I am very curious to see if the original tank underneath it is actually good or bad, or, well, I'm going to take this off. Let's have a look. The previous owner has very lovingly put protective tape where the clips go. However, am I going to be able to get this protective tape off without it damaging the paint? Right, let's have a looky. Hopefully, yeah, it's been done in a bow, like a shoelace. Wow. Oh, I wasn't expecting that. Original paint, original stickers. Oh, okay, this bike just got better. Oh, the tank looks really good condition, actually. Really good. Well, that'll be because it's been protected by this cover for all those years. I'm going to leave the tank in position for now because most of the wiring I want to get to is behind this rear fairing. So I'm going to take off this grab rail by undoing the 4 bolts that hold it on, these side fairings as well. So there's a screw there, and that will just be held in with push grub things, and then the rest of it kind of should just wriggle off quite easily, I'd imagine. With all the bits and pieces removed, we can now see the alarm unit, which, judging by this blinky light that's not actually blinking, would suggest to me that it's not working. The way the starter motor works is you've got this. This is the starter motor activation relay coil thing. So this cable here is strapped straight to the battery, and then you get a signal from the switch, which then tells the power to go from this thick cable to this thick cable, and that is not happening. So you press the starter button and the power isn't going to the starter motor. Now that is probably because the alarm system needs to tell it it's allowed to make that connection, and with the alarm system wired in and broken, that's not going to work at all. So the first thing I need to do is have a look to see if I can fix whatever's wrong with that, which I'm probably not going to be able to do. Failing that, I'm going to have to remove it from the bike completely. Now, sadly for me, this has actually been installed incredibly well, and it's all disguised in the wrapped up cabling wiring loom of the original bike, so it's going to be a bit of a challenge. Very annoyingly, the screw that holds the connector on to the alarm box has a security screw in, which is like a single use, you can only turn it clockwise kind of screw. The plan is to use this Dremel like machine to cut a slot so I can get a screwdriver in there. And that seems to have worked well enough. With the two screws removed, there was one either side, I can now take this cover off and hopefully unplug this alarm module. Right, on the bench with the cover prized off, you can see there's a fair amount of rather bad corrosion on there. Lovely. Oh, this might be why this alarm system doesn't work. I think it's got wet at some point. Now, I'm pretty good at cleaning things and restoring things and getting them back working again, but I don't think I'm going to be able to do anything with this. This is absolutely destroyed. There's only one place for this. I guess the next job now is to remove the rest of it. So I'm going to remove the tape from the wiring loom where it connects and just slowly but surely work out how to take it off. It's probably a good idea to disconnect the battery whilst I'm doing this. In fact, I might just remove the battery completely. Take that out. Okay, let's just try and remove as much of this non-factory black insulation tape as we can, where the main loom for the alarm goes into. I'm hoping there's just a couple of wires that have been cut and shut and I can rejoin the original connections, and this won't be too much of a taxing job. You can see here there are aftermarket joins in the cables. So to explain how the alarm works, this little bunch of wires here go to the alarm. This yellow and red wire comes from the start button. So when you press the button, it sends 12 volts down this wire. Now, instead of going to the starter solenoid, which is just here, it actually goes to the alarm system, and then the alarm system says, yep, all good, and then it sends it to the solenoid coil. But because the alarm is completely dead, that's not happening. So all I need to do is remove these two black wires, reconnect the yellow and red wire back together again, and it should hopefully work. There's another connection I've found back here in the loom as well, where there's a black and white wire that's been cut and shut going in and out of the alarm, so I need to do that one as well. It's also been spliced into the indicator wires so that they flash when you press the button on the fob. Obviously, when you used to be able to press the button on the fob when it worked. So I just need to remove those as well, and then hopefully all of that can come out and it will be all right. Maybe, we'll see. So the wiring loom is all now reconnected as it was when it left the factory. I will make it look nicer afterwards, but there's no point in doing that if I have to take it apart again. So let's put the battery in and see if the starter motor will turn over. And while I'm doing this, if you're not subscribed, why don't you hit that subscribe button so you can see all my biking adventures. Right, so reconnecting battery, positive first. And the reason we do that is so that if when I'm using a tool to tighten the connection, if I hit the frame of the bike, it doesn't matter because the other end of the battery isn't connected, so it won't make a short. And now obviously when I'm connecting the negative, if I hit the frame of the bike with the ratchet, it doesn't matter because it's already connected to the frame of the bike. Does that make sense? Battery reconnected. Let's just give it a go, shall we? If this works, you have to give me a thumbs up. I'm not expecting the bike to run or start because A, there isn't any fuel in it, and B, I need to go through the carburetors, which will be gummed up from 10-year-old fuel. Yes! I'm the winner. Give me a thumbs up. Right. Now, basically, what I have to do take the tank off. Or I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll do what we did with the ZX10 and see if it will start using Easy Start. Let's do that. I'll open the roller shutter door so I don't end up carbon monoxiding myself. Carbon monoxiding? Yes, that's a word. On the ZX10, I was quite surprised that the airbox intake was again behind the tank like it is on here, but had no flow going to it. This bike actually has a duct going from the side vent, which can then go to the side of the airbox. However, this is bent and this isn't actually attached. So that actually makes my life a little bit easier because I can spray the Easy Start straight into the airbox. Right, here we go. And without further ado, I'm genuinely excited about this. So this test will tell us if we've got spark and compression. It won't tell us if the carbs are okay, but we know they're not going to be okay because they've been sat around for many, many years. So spray a little bit in there. Open up the throttle fully because obviously we need it to be able to suck in the Easy Start, and then hit the button. I can't pull the clutch lever in at the same time. So I'm just going to use a cable tie to pull and hold the clutch lever in because I don't have enough hands. Now hopefully when I press that, yes, right. Okay, here goes nothing. It's alive-ish. Well, it fired. Let's get the tank off. Removing the tank on this looks pretty simple. We've got 2 bolts up here and 1 bolt here, and then it's a case of unplugging any electrical cables that are connected to it. Electrical cables such as the fuel gauge sender, and obviously the fuel lines as well, which have got those really annoying kind of clips on that just aren't very good. Ugh. These are the ones I'm talking about. They're just quite tricky to kind of get on and off really. This tank has a tank stay as well, which has a little R clip in it, which I need to remove to be able to remove the stay itself, which is a bit fiddly actually. R clip removed. So now that should, yep, the stay is now out. But I remove this bottom bolt. Come on. There we go. And now hopefully I haven't missed anything. Whee! 1 tank removed. So what does it look like on the bottom? Really clean. Yeah, that's a really, given its age, you know, 36 years old, that's a really good looking tank. The petcock actually looks alright, but it definitely has leaked a bit. You can see some corrosion on it there. So, okay, I reckon, don't know if you can hear that, it's full of rusty flakes. So it's going to need a real good swishing out before we put any fuel in. But I think it will hold fuel and I don't think it will leak. I'm just about to upset some of you with OCD. Can you see that the position of the carburetors is not symmetrical? This one on the end actually is at a completely different position due to sort of the design of this airbox. That's kind of, I don't know, why does that annoy me? Okay, it looks slightly better from this angle, but that one on the left definitely is further sticking out than that one. It's not symmetrical. Oh, never mind. Right, let's crack on. Stop messing around. I do, however, have a pleasant surprise. That is not plastic. Oh, it does. What is that? Is that like silicone? I think someone might have sealed it up with some sort of mastic or something. Interesting. Or it's melted. To get the airbox, it looks like I have to remove a bolt here, one on the other side there, remove this tubey bit, like, oh, that's completely perished. Oh well, that's removed. I've taken this bit off already, and hopefully with the release of these 4 clamps it will just come off nice and easy. So this is turning out to be almost as awkward as a GPZ 900R, and we all know how awkward that is. Don't tell me you can't take the airbox off without taking the carbs out. Do you know what? I don't think you can. You got to take the carbs off to get the airbox out. Huh. Interesting design. To remove the carbs, I guess I've got to get access to the clamps that are holding the rubbers in place, and I think I'm going to have to remove the side fairings to do that. Once I've done that, I can remove the throttle cables and the choke cable, and they should just come out relatively easily. Famous last words, eh? Okay, with everything hopefully loose. These are awkward. I thought awkward was a Kawasaki thing, not a Honda thing. Then again, when was the last time these came off, you know? This airbox being like here is just awful design. Starting to fall out of love with this bike. Come on. Yeah, I'm pretty sure the rubbers that connect the carburetors to the engine are so hard they've basically turned to plastic, which is making this job rather difficult. I need something to pry them with. How's about this for an unconventional method? Ooh, okay. That end one's out. If I can get this one out. Win. Apologies for making you watch that, but I didn't really have much of a choice because these probably haven't been off for, these might have never been off, to be honest. So now I've got access to the throttle cable connections. Feed and return, same as the ZX10. So you've got double the awkwardness. And then there we go. One set of carburetors. Okay, now I've got them off. They are symmetrical. Kind of. By now you'll have seen me strip and rebuild so many sets of carburetors I've lost count, so I'm not going to bore you with the details. All I'll say is that make sure you use the correct tools for the job, so JIS screwdrivers for Japanese carburetors, and just take your time. So we've actually got a pretty serious case of gum. Have you noticed that that does not bounce? That's kind of what they're supposed to do, but this one is full of this kind of tar, effectively. It's petrol that has gone to jelly. This one's exactly the same. When removing the floats and the jets, like I said, make sure you use the right tool for the job. Make sure if you're using a flathead screwdriver, that flathead is the perfect fit for those slotted screws. Right, the carbs are all stripped, and if I'm going to be honest with you, they're actually really clean. This was definitely drained before it was stored. Sadly, it wasn't 100% drained, and the little bit of fuel that was left has turned to jelly. So I just need to clean the rest of it out and, well, put it back together. And as usual, I've laid everything out as it came out so that I know what went where and how it goes back in. Okay, apart from the big pile of fuel pipes. But I've got photos, so I know where they go. Assembly is reversal of removal, and just be careful that you don't over tighten something and snap a jet, for example. That's the last thing you want to do. Ta-da! Carbs done. Now, I know I didn't show you a lot of detail in this because I've done that like so many times now. Once back together, obviously you can check your slides are working all right. Make sure you've got good butterfly action, and then, well, you can't really check for leaks until it's back on the bike. With the carbs out of the way, will the airbox come out? Because it needs a very good clean, I'll tell you that much. Yes, it will come out. Oh, it's attached to something. There's a drain hose attached to it, which I'll just pull off. Win. Right, winner, winner, chicken dinner. Let's pop that on there. So the ports actually look pretty clean and the valves look pretty nice as well, from what I can see on this side of the engine anyway. But look, you've got F48 written there, F49, an M in the middle, and C111 on the left. It's always worrying when you find pen marks on car and bike bits, because it normally means they've come from a scrapyard. Okay, right, let's stop messing around. Let's do a compression test, get some new spark plugs in there, and then see where we're at. Let's take the spark plugs out for a start and have a look at them. Right, I've got the 4 spark plugs on the table, and cylinders 1, 3 and 4 look alright, but cylinder 2 is very kind of caked in oil. So need to possibly worry about that, but I'm going to put the 4 new plugs in and then see where we're at. I was happy that the starter motor now works and there's nothing wrong with the wiring, so I've gone ahead and taped it all up, and you wouldn't really know that I'd been in there, would you? I think that looks pretty good. Right, here we go for the compression test. Now the carbs aren't attached, so I don't need to worry about having the throttle fully open. Ignition on. Right, cylinder 1. Just under 150 psi. Cylinder 2. About 160 psi. Cylinder 3. Just over 150 psi. And finally cylinder 4. Oh, I forgot to release the pressure from the last cylinder. Again, 160 psi, which says to me that that engine is in good health with regards to compression. So I am slightly concerned about the oil on the spark plug of cylinder 2, but the compression checks out alright, which might suggest that the piston rings are okay. We just don't know at this point. We'll see if any smoke comes piling out of the exhaust once we get the engine running, but I'm going to put the new spark plugs in. Oh, before I do that, let's check for spark. So we can do that by putting the spark plug in the end of the HT lead and touching it on the ground and turning it over just to see if there's a spark. So let's do that next. Cylinder 1. Can you see that on camera? There is a spark between the end of the spark plug and the plug. So cylinder 1 working fine. Cylinder 2, which actually comes from the second coil pack. Yep, there's a spark there as well. Cylinder 3. Yep, there's a spark there. And finally cylinder 4. And there is spark there as well. Sweet, so we've got spark on all 4 cylinders. Before I can put the carbs back on, the air box needs to go on first, and as you can see it's looking rather grubby, so I'm just going to give this a real good clean up best I can and then pop it back in. With the air box back in, you guys now get to see the fun part, which is putting these carburetors back in. Now what I'm going to do, I'm just going to get a little bit of oil and just run my finger around the inside of the rather hardened rubber things that hold them in place. So I'll just do that quickly. I mean, this probably isn't going to make much difference, but it might be the difference between getting them on and getting too cross with them. I'm going to put a little bit on the carb side as well. Just a smidge, you know, I'm just not going crazy. Just enough so it's got a little bit of lubrication. Oh! Right, wish me luck. Right, I should probably connect the throttle cables because I actually couldn't disconnect them with these in place. I couldn't get to where they connected. So, yeah, let's do that. So you've got one that pulls, one that pushes. You just got to make sure you get them the right way around in the connector. So I'm going to do that. Quite fiddly, but not impossible. I can adjust them afterwards, but it's just a case of getting the cable in the right place to start with. Like I said, really unawkward. Just don't get cross with it, else it's just going to end badly. Once I got the cables refitted, I could set about trying to push the carburetors back on. This took realistically about half an hour. The rubbers were so hard, it was proving to be very difficult. Anyway, I did get there in the end. I managed to get them back on, and then I set about tightening the clamps and tightening everything down and making sure everything was good. So with the carbs on, I can now try and wrestle the airbox on. This was much easier than the carburetors because the rubbers were kind of soft. Seems to be on all right. There's a tube missing from the top of the airbox. I don't remember taking one off of there. Need to find that. Maybe I threw it in the box. Oh yeah. There's a tube. Oh, and it goes to that crankcase breather there. Okay, sorted. As you can see, it's now getting late in the evening, so it's summertime now. It is nearly 9 o'clock, so it's still a little bit bright. I can't start this bike yet because the fuel tank, the petcock, doesn't work. It's completely seized and it needs stripping apart and cleaning and fixing. And now I don't have a seal kit for it, and the chances of me getting lucky with being able to use the same seals is pretty slim. Do you know what? What I can do... Oh yeah, you're going to like this. Yes, I think this will work. Okay, what I'm going to do, I'm going to fill the carbs up with fuel and see if it runs. I mean, I don't see why not. If I fill the carbs up to the floats using the fuel feed, block off the vacuum fitting that operates the petcock, then it might actually run. I've got new plugs in. I've redone the carbs. We know we've got compression. We know we've got spark. We've got air, obviously. And we just need to get fuel in there and then bangity bang. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. Right. Let's get some fuel. Fill up the carbs via this line here. At least then I'll know if they're leaking or not. See what happens. Okay. Good plan. Solid plan. Is it me? Or is this a terrible idea? Oh well. One way to find out. If I get a cable tie and hold that there, then I'll be able to see the fuel level in my funnel. Oh, I'm genuinely excited. I didn't think I was going to get this running tonight, but now I do think I'm going to get it running. What am I doing? My brain stopped working. Cable tie. Don't get too excited, Ashley. You know what's going to happen. You're going to connect all this up. Something will go wrong. There'll be a fire. That'll stay like that. Yeah. Okay. We have a carbon dioxide fire extinguisher, just in case. I'm going to move this tank before I stand on it. Oh, I need to block that tube off. Let's get a bolt and just put it in. Or screwdriver. There you go. Because that's the vacuum line that sucks the petcock open, I believe anyway. And if it's constantly sucking, then that cylinder's not going to fire very well. Now I can't run this for very long if it will start, because the coolant system, I don't think there's any coolant in it, and the coolant system looks like it's going to need a lot of work. But at least if it runs, we'll know the engine's good. Okay, right, let's get some fuel in my little funnel. This is exciting. Is that coming straight out? So far so good. Well, it's going somewhere and it's not on the floor, so my funnel is full. If the funnel's full and it's not coming out onto the floor, that must mean the carbs have fuel in, which also must mean it's gonna go, it's gonna go, it's gonna go. Right. The moment we've all been waiting for. Here goes nothing. No way! No way, no way, no way. Oh my gosh! It sounds like it came out of the factory. Wow. Oh, that sounds perfect. The fuel's going down in my little funnel tank. Oh my gosh. I'm genuinely shocked. This is the most shocked I think I've been at how easy it started. Give it a rev. Yeah. Okay. All right. That's enough. Doesn't have any coolant in it. I've got a lot more work to do, but oh my gosh. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up if you haven't done so already. And also, if you haven't done so already, hit that subscribe button. If you're not a subscriber, become a subscriber now. And I will catch you next time. I don't know what I'll be doing, but I might be riding one of these bikes. Okay, right, great. Cheers.